The story opens in a magical realm inhabited by 9 races: dragon youths, elves, gnomes, dwarves, demons, dark elves, centaurs, beastfolk, and humans, from which a young adventurer named Light hails. Hoping to provide a better future for his family, Light bids farewell to his village and sets off in search of wealth and strength. Upon arriving in a bustling city, Light gets jostled by the throng but keeps pushing forward to find the Adventurers Guild. He steps inside and presents himself to the receptionist, who inquires if he's there to sign up as a new adventurer. When he nods yes, she notes that he'll begin at the bottom F rank and asks about any unique skill he possesses. Light reveals his unlimited gacha power, which lets him draw random cards and call them forth. When he materializes a bent fork before her, the receptionist is stunned silent. Mortified, Light pretends utensils aren't all he can produce, but his follow-up draws yield only a pile of spoiled treats. Light feels let down that his fortune chose the worst time to fail him, and the receptionist agrees he's stuck with the lousy rank. Once he gets his adventurer's card, he requests some missions, and she directs him to the guild's quest board. Hearing about the postings, Light looks uneasy, and the receptionist sees he can't read them. Pitying her illiterate human peer, she recites the available jobs aloud. Thrilled at the chance to make actual cash, Light eagerly takes on the mundane chores. Following a full day of tough labor, he earns just enough to afford a room. But then a pack of beastfolk shoves him over and begins harassing him as their boss snatches his coins. Light pleads for compassion, but the vicious wolfman slams him with a brutal uppercut. The wolfman mocks Light for groveling over pocket change and strolls off with his snickering crew. The onlookers disregard Light as he lies there until a compassionate elf lifts him to his feet. Light is startled by the adventurers encircling him and recoils in surprise. Noticing his fear, the elf embraces Light to soothe him amid the bystanders' jeers. As Light is amazed that a beautiful elf soiled herself for his benefit, she assists him in standing. The adventurers identify themselves as part of the Concord of Tribes. A beastman called Jero clarifies that each one stands for one of the 9 races, and the elf names herself Sasha. She presents Drago, Diablo, Abero, Nano, Cyan, and Santer. Covering 8 of the 9 races, Light discovers the Concord seeks a human to demonstrate the harmony of all peoples in their world. As Jero extends his hand to welcome him, Light is astonished that anyone requires his aid, then joyfully agrees to join. Before long, Light ventures into a cavernous dungeon known as the Abyss alongside his new team. A massive worm creature lunges at him, but Jero slices it to pieces before it reaches Light. Another worm creeps up on Light from the rear, so Sasha dispatches it with her arrow. She reprimands Light for his recklessness, stressing that they're delving into the world's deadliest dungeon. Sasha cautions him that death could come swiftly here. She kneels and tends to his injuries. Spotting her mothering him, the other teammates begin ribbing Sasha for pampering Light excessively. Flushing red as a beet, Sasha insists she absolutely doesn't care for Light and says she's merely safeguarding a comrade. As the teammates dismiss her flimsy denial, Sasha grows more insistent. But Drago intervenes and boosts Light's spirits, noting he brews superb tea for the squad. Inspired, the group presses farther into the dungeon. When the team halts at a blockage, Drago signals a stop. Light assumes it's rest time, so he begins fixing tea for them. Yet Drago informs him they won't need the tea because they're booting Light from the party. Light figures it's a joke, but Drago sternly restates it as Light stands frozen. Jero echoes that he's done, so Light questions why they're abandoning him. Jero states their crew has no use for him, and Sasha seems repulsed by his stupidity. Even Cyan and Nano jeer at Light for his weakness while the demons are glad to ditch him at last. Light demands to know why they're turning vicious after their earlier warmth. Jero discloses they were only pretending niceness to lure him into the group. Light puzzles over why their strong party wanted him, and Drago explains it's due to his unique power. He says they enlisted Light expecting an unbeatable prodigy, but his skill is utterly worthless. Light admits his unlimited gacha has never helped, and Jero concurs. He ridicules Light as a worthless human, so their team won't carry his burden anymore, realizing he was a flop from the start. Nano wonders why it took her companions so long to drop him. Meanwhile, Sasha is relieved she can wed her superior instead of winding up with the pitiful human youth. As Light reels from this devastating revelation, Drago resolves to end things with him. After instructing Jera to dispose of Light, he finally grasps the peril. Facing their menacing glares, Light understands his party plans to kill him to prevent future vengeance if he grows powerful. Jera unsheathes his claws and slashes Light's cheek, who gazes at the blood dripping from the wound. As the party members watch impassively, Light flees in terror. Jera warns him the abyss creatures will make a meal of him. But Sasha fires an arrow into his leg to halt his getaway. Writhing in agony, Light crumples from the strike and Jera savors his torment. He advances and boots Light fiercely in the gut, sending him sprawling once more. He proceeds to pummel Light mercilessly, but Sasha halts him. She reminds him they must stage Light's vanishing as in mishap. Thus, Jera lifts his claw for the killing blow. Staring at his doom, Light scrambles across the floor, desperate to keep living. Jera thrills at seeing him fight so fiercely as the frail lad battles inevitable demise. Abruptly, Light's palm triggers a teleportation trap, and Drago urges Jera to finish him before it engages. Yet it whisks Light to safety just ahead of the beastman's grasp. Later, Light awakens elsewhere in the dungeon. Still enduring severe wounds, he figures any stray beast will devour him, even if he lasts a little more. As the bitter cold of the cavern evokes memories of his caring family, he begins sobbing. Light remembers how gracious the Concord seemed post their initial encounter and questions why they proved so heartless, picturing their icy faces after leading him to the impasse. Light seethes at their treachery. He feels baffled by the mighty masters and the Concord's leaders. Pondering how he entangled with such mad folk. His bewilderment shifts to rage as he swears vengeance. Light rises, resolved to slay them all, but senses a chilling stare on his back. He spins and spots a level 1000 Orthus beast eyeing him. Light questions what such an overpowered fiend is doing there and comprehends the trap sent him to the abyss's lowest depths. As the Orthus nears, Light contemplates flight, then frantically unleashes his unlimited gacha power. Begging for a wonder. With one last desperate activation, Light conjures a vast magic circle. He gapes in awe as the gacha emits a mighty energy, invoking an ancient fairy. Acknowledging Light as her lord, the enigmatic fairy dices the beast like a vegetable, its fragmented pieces tumble down, and the fairy touches down elegantly. Before Light's astonished gaze, she tidies the chaos with a wave of her hand before spinning around. The fairy approaches Light and respectfully kneels, mending all his injuries with her spell. She says sorry to Light for mending him without asking, as she couldn't stand to see him hurt. Light shares his name. Still in awe that he drew the world's most unbeatable fairy. The fairy adores his name and keeps saying it over before pledging her total devotion to him. Unsure of who she is, Light clumsily inquires about her name. Thus, she discloses that she's the level 9999 truth-seeking maid named May. May clarifies that she's a mega ultra rare card from Light's gacha. Light argues that the gacha just churns out garbage. Doubting he could have drawn a mighty powerhouse like her. May believes he fully merits her and pleads with him to take her on. Noticing her sorrowful expression, Light at last consents and May expresses gratitude for his kindness. She then requests Light to check his gacha skill and he gets taken aback that she possesses the evaluation ability. May informs him it's merely one of her talents before seeking his approval once more. When Light consents, May's eye begins shining as she assesses him, spotting that the gacha offers him tiers of hidden safeguards. May gets amazed by his potent skill. She describes how the gacha appeared worthless since Light was formerly in spots with 0 mana. Yet, in the mana-rich abyss, the gacha soaked up the energy nearby and heightened his odds of landing a rare card. She details all the unlimited gacha card tiers from the top extra rank and mega ultra rare down to standard and glitch. Light remains puzzled, so May informs him that up top, he could never score decent draws due to the sparse mana there. She commends Light for uncovering the gacha's potential and heading into the abyss to amp up his chances for a rare draw. Still, May observes that it was extremely risky for him to go solo. And he corrects her that she's mistaken. Light confesses he went into the abyss with his team, but they turned on him and tormented his body. Remembering their savage mistreatment and jeers, he begins weeping while recounting his tale to May. Light thinks back on how his former crew ridiculed him for being a worthless human. He gripes about their harsh insults, noting he was simply aiming to make an honest buck for his folks. May observes as he pours out his emotions, utterly crushed by the party's vicious disloyalty. At last, Light drops to his knees from the anguish, declaring he'll never pardon the brutal animals for harming him. He grips the arrow in his leg while weeping, and May quietly embraces him. In her comforting hold, Light settles and ceases crying. May informs him that she can't ever grasp the extent of his pain, but she'll wield her full strength to deliver the Concord their just punishment. As Light stares at her in surprise, May vows to round them all up before him in a flash. When he halts her and stands, May figures he's too compassionate for his benefit. She urges him not to show such leniency, but Light explains to her that he landed in this mess from his own frailty. He shares with May that he refuses to misuse her might for payback, promising to grow tougher and deal with the Concord using his own bare hands. Light assumes May won't buy his far-fetched dreams, but she commits to backing his aim without a second thought. After May assures him she has absolute trust in his capabilities, Light beams with happiness. She mirrors his grin before Light activates his gacha to call forth another unbeatable asset in the abyss. May observes loyally as Light starts forging his domain. Powered by the abyss's endless mana, enormous magic circles encircle Light, invoking the supreme instruments for his pursuit of might. After 3 years of tough labor, Light has constructed an opulent realm with all his new fairies. As he strolls through his palace corridors, every maid deferentially salutes him, eager to catch a bit of extra notice. Irritated by their eerie gazes, May inquires if Light wants her to quiet the chatty fairies. Light isn't bothered, figuring they're simply displaying their affection toward him. Once outside the palace, Light wanders through the village where all the merchants welcome him with warm greetings. As the merchants request Light to restock their goods, May mentally plans to handle their issues shortly. Then, Light questions her on what his other fairies are up to. So, May updates him that a fairy named Ayuki is scouting the abyss. Content: Light believes Ayuki will manage fine in the abyss as the brilliant tamer. Next, he inquires about the scholar fairy named Ellie and discovers she's crafting sorcery incantations to boost his strength. Light feels bad for pushing Ellie so intensely on his behalf and asks May what their warrior named Nazuna is handling. May gets frustrated that Nazuna is merely roaming the palaces inside, despite her combat skills being top-notch. Still, Light sees her as ideal for the role, moving about with her upbeat demeanor. Later, Light heads back to the palace where his ultimate level 9999 champion called Jack addresses him by his given name. This infuriates May, who chides Jack to show proper respect to their lord. Light assures her he doesn't care how Jack refers to him and departs to spar with him in the dungeon. After cautioning him that he won't pull punches, Light gears up to lunge at Jack, who stands prepared to face him. He dashes with incredible velocity and strikes Jack's gut, which sends him several yards backward, aware that only his frame can endure Light's assault. Jack gets taken aback by his might. He counters Light too, and the pair launch into an intense clash. Meanwhile, Nazuna keeps pacing the secure palace passages, pretending she's shielding the maids from vicious outlaws. As Nazuna informs the maids she's on a crucial assignment for Light, they indulge her like a pampered kid. As Nazuna swells with pride from their flattery, the maids inquire where she's heading after. She admits she hasn't picked yet, so they urge her to check a hidden spot for them. Curious what sort of location it is, Nazuna consents to assist. Before long, she raps on the door to Light's chamber where May emerges. She questions Nazuna if she requires anything. Thus, Nazuna explains she's surveying the zone. May states she doesn't need her protection in the chamber, but Nazuna grows inquisitive about her activities. She quizzes May on why she's in Light's chamber while he's off battling Jack, and May pretends she's simply tidying the space. Yet, Nazuna brushes off May's chatter and strides right into the room. Spotting the rumpled bed, she assumes May tumbles in it and inhales Light's aroma like a weirdo. To safeguard her honor, May informs Nazuna it's merely a covert cleaning method, and the ditzy knight readily swallows her phony tale. As May feels glad that Nazuna isn't the brightest bulb in the pack, she begins rummaging through her gear to locate a note from the maids. Upon finding the missive, she recites it aloud, notifying May that the rest of the maids are mad at her for monopolizing Light. As Nazuna voices the closing section of the note, she puzzles over why the maids are hexing May. The naive Nazuna figures they're hexing her to build her resistance, and May says she'll manage the maids on her own. Then, she hands Nazuna some coins for conveying the note, and she gleefully takes them and exits. Later, Nazuna visits the bazaar and snags a load of yummy treats to munch. While snacking, she spots Ayuki perched on a ledge. After hearing that Ayuki has wrapped up her scouting, Nazuna cautions her she won't divvy up her snacks since Ayuki just keeps purring back. Nazuna gets baffled, pondering what the cat girl means and attempts to assume she ran into issues in the woods as Nazuna proposes to aid her remove the barriers. Ayuki gets irked and discloses that she's already completed charting the entire region. This astonishes Nazuna, who begins playfully smacking the girl and rebukes her for not clarifying sooner. Then she dashes off to resume fooling around, leaving Ayuki drained. Nazuna enters the palace's audience chamber and ensures no one's observing. She ascends onto Light's vacant seat, feeling down that he's absent to witness her. But her clumsy actions snap off a chunk of the throne, and Nazuna stealthily replaces it before vanishing from the space. Back in the dungeon, Light and Jack exchange strikes one last round. Jack suggests they wrap it up and grab a breather, and Light concurs as they soak in the warm springs. Jack commends Light for honing his abilities. Light attributes it to Jack's guidance, but Jack, sure that hardly anyone in the palace can rival him, advises Light against complacency. There could yet be folks up top potent enough to test him. Light affirms with a nod, vowing he'll never belittle his foes during his quest for payback. Meanwhile, in May's study, the fairy maids linger anxiously while expecting her commands. May questions if they grasp why they're in hot water, and the maids attempt to feign ignorance. As May recites the details of their note out loud, they grow scared of her and shrink against the barriers. She probes the maids on what they intended by their note, and they claim they were only aiming to ease her load. Still, May highlights that they damned her thrice at the close, which renders them mute. She also reprimands the maids for exploiting Nazuna as their fall guy, and they all begin murmuring to each other. Then May returns to her seat and declares she's denying their request before commanding them to scrub the lengthy corridor to the audience chamber. The maids take their penalty, but when May informs them they'll do it all manually, they feel utterly shocked. The maids object to the penalty, but May states that since she's returning to the surface, they must step up while she's gone. In the village, Nazuna covetously eyes some sleek gear. Ellie nears her, amazed that the palace sentinel is strolling about. She offers if Nazuna desires some sweets, but the knight gestures to the gear. She quizzes Ellie on her studies and Ellie notes that she's returning as her task is done. Ellie views Nazuna as a fool for not deducing this herself, but Nazuna retorts to disprove her. Nazuna claims that 1 times 3 equals 4. Ellie derides her as stupider than a jellyfish, so Nazuna retorts that only fools mock others' smarts. Yet, Ellie begins boasting about sharing tea with Light, imagining he'll ask her to his chamber soon. This sparks envy in Nazuna, who yearns to sip tea with her lord too. Back in the maids' quarters, they fume over May's discipline. One ponders how to eliminate their pesky boss and proposes they dose her. After her companion notes that May resists toxins, they all go quiet, mulling what to try. Irked that she can't tidy Light's space, the head maid resumes griping. Her pals concur, craving to breathe his essence like May. Their odd pal daydreams about tasting Light's dirty utensil, and they all label her a weirdo. Still, she exposes them for sharing the urges, and the two-faced bunch brazenly admits they'd act likewise. Then the maids reflect on May as the initial fairy Light called forth. Recalling it took him 3 additional months to call Ayuki, they speculate if May pulled some weird antics while alone with Light. At this epiphany, every maid begins sobbing that they missed out on the opportunity to satisfy their cravings with their lord and resolve to damn May for infinity. Yet, as they launch their collective damning ritual, May steps into the space. Shushing them completely, the maids quiz her on why she isn't outdoors handling her task, and May clarifies that she was heading out when she overheard them invoking blessings for her. She strides into the space, probing why they were damning her, feeling scared of her might. Each of them begins vowing their eternal allegiance to her one after another. Still, May recites their damns, which hushes them once more. At last, one of the maids admits that they were simply envious of the additional hours she spent with Light. May informs them that during the 3 months she passed with Light solo, she merely taught him and drilled him in battle. After stating that she never pulled anything weird with him, May mentions that she came back because she believed her discipline was overly severe. But, after catching the maid's thankless dams, she figures she chose correctly. May reinforces it and escalates their discipline to encompass the audience chamber too. The maids wretchedly plead with her for compassion as May points out that they have the spare moments to damn her in their quarters. The maids ultimately embrace their doom. Upon getting their discipline, the maids swiftly depart to scrub the audience chamber. Still griping they did nothing amiss, they ponder if they can complete the scrubbing before tomorrow. Abruptly, the odd maid contacts the section that Nazuna damaged, and it fractures and tumbles in front of their appalled gazes. Meanwhile, Nazuna reclines on her mattress for a solid evening's rest. Oblivious that she's just condemned the maids to hellfire, feeling blue that she didn't spotlight. She muses why he doesn't simply dispatch her topside to mop up the dudes who injured him. After airing her feelings, Nazuna shuts her lids to slumber. The following morning, as Light strides forth to access the dungeon, he catches Ellie bickering with Nazuna. When he unlocks the gateway, Nazuna bolts to welcome him, assuming her bedtime desire got fulfilled. Ellie figures there's no chance Light would bother with her while Ayuki nears him like a feline. As he commences rubbing her jaw, the other gals get envious that she's receiving such exclusive focus. Ellie beckons Light to her chamber, but he overlooks her and informs the gals he's handling affairs in the dungeon. Out of nowhere, a hellhound creature nears the crew, causing Light to quake in tension. As he remembers the initial encounter with this creature, Light feels scarred while the maids turn gravely intent. Nazuna cautions the creature that she'll transform it into a pile of links for wounding her lord. While Ellie believes they must render its kind vanished, even Ayuki consents to wiping out each hellhound from existence, and the creature begins yelping like a pup under their intensity. Light instructs the gals to ease up since he's okay and nears the hellhound to where the gals truly would have obliterated its lineage. He strokes the mutt while Ellie questions him on his purpose. At her query, Light recollects that May has delivered word that their initial target is set. Every gal gets thrilled, prepared to aid their lord. Light emerges, gearing up to launch his vengeance with the first of the 8 merciless Concords who double-crossed him. Meanwhile, in Jera's village, the locals brazenly flatter him to curry favor. While haughtily marching through the streets, Jera spots a destitute human rummaging for scraps, and he boots him over just for kicks. Next, he swings by a bar and demands a spread with his goons, who fawn over him for climbing the ladder as an orphan and elevating their wolf clan standing. Jera figures he got tough thanks to his innate beastman instincts, but his goon counters that his instincts top the bunch. Nodding at their take, Jera concedes he can always sniff out gigs with the fattest payouts, letting him rake in cash fast. Intrigued, the goon probes how much he scored from offing Light 3 years back, but he clams up, calling it a hush-hush gig from the Federation he can't spill on. Reflecting, Jera reckons killing Light was the simplest hit ever. He assumes even though Light got away, no chance he outlasted the deadly abyss after. Still, as he recalls every nation in their realm hunting for a maestro, he puzzles over why they're such a big deal. Abruptly, his tail twitches from a whiff of peril, and Jera opts not to dwell on heavy mysteries. As his goons keep guzzling booze carefree, May crashes their banter. When she aims to chat with Jera, his goons howl at her for addressing their boss without clearance. He hushes them and queries what May needs. Thus, she presents herself as Light's lead servant. At that name, Jera reels, and she shares she's been hunting her lost lord. May details that Light hails from a blue bloodline and his kin have been scouring for him. Jera scoffs that a spineless punk like Light couldn't stem from nobility. But with May pressing, he agrees to hear her out. Eager for a payday, May weeps, claiming her lord might have met his end in the deadly abyss. Before the stunned crowd, she unveils a case stuffed with solid gold. If Jera guides her to where Light vanished, still suspecting a setup, Jera takes the bait since he bets May poses no risk as a human. Outwardly, he feigns Light was a buddy from his crew and he'd aid the search gratis. Blubbering, May thanks Jera for his big-hearted pledge. 30 days on, he escorts May to the abyss. When they hit the dungeon at last, May drips sweat, wiped out from the trek. As Jera glances her way, he savors a dark urge to wrap the task and exploit May's drained form at her boss's tomb. Upon arriving at the betrayal site, Jera informs May that's where a beast claimed his pal. As she crumples in grief, Jera laments his squad slip-up that cost their comrade. He covertly cues his thugs, who seal the cavern's outlet.
while Jero imagines a wild romp with the naive chick. Abruptly, May's tone ices over.
She laments it's tragic her lord got dragged to a lethal lair just to get stabbed in the back by his sleazy squad mates. Catching her frosty bite, a shiver hits Jero's core and he retreats warily. While his goons gawk puzzled, Jero clocks that May's laying a snare for him since only the Concord and their bosses know Light's fate.
Figuring she's a plant from rival lands, Jero demands her true allegiance.
She sneers, vowing she's sworn solely to her lord, Light, before proclaiming she'll make Jero atone for his sins. May wheels with a savage stare that locks him in terror, reckoning human gals are mere playthings to ravage.
Jero staggers that May packs the juice to menace him.
As May eyes him like garbage, Jero senses his doom. Yet, a cloaked shape materializes and halts her mid-move.
As Light declares he'll exact payback on Jero personally. Jero's thugs jeer him for mouthing off as a sorry human. Gaping in dread, Jero goes mute as Light doffs his hood to bear his mug. He grins and salutes Jero's crew. While the thugs scratch their heads over his identity, aware Light's just level 15. Jero cracks up at his pipe dream of vengeance against a level 150 fiend like him. Unfazed, Light eyes Jero as he vows to pave his rise with Light's remains. Still, Light notes that rather than rashly barking threats, Jero should have played it safe and grilled how he beat the horrifying abyss. Jero concedes, but bets he can't faze him even with May's backup. Deeming Light fortunate to snag her, he trusts they can't outmatch his squad of level 130 bruisers. As Light concurs, his thugs lunge to pummel him. Out of nowhere, a storm of appendages soars skyward after May casually carves up the mutts. After stating that any fool who endangers her lord gets mulched into kibble, May barricades the dungeon's egress to trap Jero while his leftover goons freak. Jero assures them May just landed a cheap shot to rattle them, stressing humans can pack more punch than he dreamed. Light ribs Jero for his wild fantasies. Yet, Jero bullishly denies the truth and boasts he'll unleash the raw might of beastfolk on Light. Light quiets, mulling the prejudice humans endure from their frailty. Jero insists it's par for the course that other breeds outclass them, but Light jabs that his servant just hacked his crew to bits. Jero insists she doped it with some enchanted gear and barrels at Light to clam him up. But Light casually repels them all by slamming his rod to the floor. Jero flails to steady as Light saunters close and jabs at his swift defeat. Stung in his ego, Jero springs up and leaps away, gearing to school him with his peak force. He taps a mystic gem to invoke a mighty level 500 Fenrir. But Light stays cool against the conjured horror. Spotting his poise, Jero assumes Light's cracked from fright. He goads Light to drop and plead for mercy, but Light vows he'll hold his ground to let the Fenrir strike. Riled by the sass, Jero commands his summon to pounce, and it builds a devastating incantation. With a thunderous bellow, the Fenrir blasts a sorcery ray at Light, who doesn't budge. As the haze lifts, Jero smirks sure his pet atomized Light. Yet, his chin hits the deck when Light emerges totally unscathed from the hit. Light teases Jero's Fenrir for merely stirring a cloud of grit while the beastfolk gawk in utter panic. As Jero grasps the depth of his mess, Light promises to demo a genuine Fenrir now. He flashes an ultra-rare card that calls a level 9000 Fenrir Sovereign, which towers over Jero's lame pup. At Light's cue, his Fenrir huffs a gentle gust that sweeps toward Jero's Fenrir and encases it in frost. The ice bursts before the beastfolk, erasing the sham Fenrir and every scrap of Jero's lingering swagger. Mewling like a whelp, Jero quizzes Light if the beast was his ace, but Light admits he could have trashed the Fenrir solo. He at last unveils his actual level of 999, leaving Jero quaking as his goons mutter humans cap at level 100. Jero pegs Light as a faker from another breed. Posing as human, noting Light still got a kid's build. He gripes any human would have bulked up in 3 years. Light discloses he's sporting a youth band that halts his maturing, so he can forever recall the agony from 3 years prior. Meeting Light's steely gaze, Jero at last accepts he's the genuine article from back then. Realizing he can't touch his might, Jero drops to grovel and implore for his neck. He swears to Light he was just following commands from way up and pins the blame on his goons for lunging at May. His furious goons yell at him for selling them out. But Jero brushes them off and pleads with Light for clemency. Light questions him on who the maestros are,
and Jera reveals the Federation commanded him and the rest to hunt them down.
As Light probes why they're after maestros, Jera confesses he wasn't clued in on the motive. Then Light insists on knowing why they attempted to off him once they confirmed he wasn't a maestro. And Jera clams up yet again.
He vows he honestly knows zilch, but his goons blurt that they've got details to barter for their hides. However, May slices them to ribbons for fibbing. Next, Light shifts focus to Jeru, noting he has one final query. He asks Jeru if he could triumph in a battle against every race using his strength. But before Jeru responds, Light warns him May can detect deceit via her Eye of Truth ability. Panicked, Jera concedes that despite his insane stats, he couldn't topple all 9 races solo, since they've amassed weapons, gear, and enchanted artifacts over centuries. At that reply, Light dips his head, conceding a lone fighter can't conquer the whole realm, no matter hitting level 999. This baffles Jeru, and Light informs him he'll have more queries once they reach his stronghold. He activates a teleportation card that envelopes them and whisks them off, abandoning the dungeon level in a gore-soaked wreck. Upon blinking awake, Jera scans about to see himself hemmed in by mighty presences all around. Every formidable beast, servant, and trooper salutes Light as he advances to his seat. Once Light climbs the steps and claims his throne, he directs his attendants to straighten up and display their stats. All the attendants unleash their energies, each surpassing thousands of levels, far beyond Jera's grasp. Even the base sentries clock in at level 1500, whereas Light's top servants max out at 9999. He informs Jera these are his troops he's assembled over the past 3 years, quizzing if the lineup suffices to smash every kingdom above. As Jera fights to hold his wits, Light rephrases his query, but gleans the verdict from the sheer dread etched on the beastman's mug. He grins and declares this crushing hopelessness is his penalty for his deeds. While Jera muses he could raise the globe in a heartbeat. With sobs welling, he views Light as the realm's mightiest soul and even likens him to a divine being. Spotting his look, Jera inquires if he's aiming to ascend to godhood. Clutching his rod, Light muses it's a solid plan. In his gaze, the folks who wronged him are concealing truths from him. Thus, he figures he'll go divine if that's required to unearth his answers. Light invokes his gacha boon, claiming it grants him dominion over the realm and proclaims he'll decree if the world merits chastisement depending on its revelations. With his domain primed for combat, he commands his forces to exit the abyss, kicking off their campaign against the 9 races. The following morning, the initial stop Light makes upon surfacing is his boyhood village. Light races toward his old home, heart pounding, but the sight stops him cold. The entire village is nothing but charred ruins, torched by some raiding party. The shock hits him like a hammer. He drops to his knees and builds a quiet spirit grave for his lost family. While he lights incense and bows, he clings to the tiny hope that his little brother and sister might still be alive since he never found their bodies. Behind him, a golden-armored knight named Gold grumbles that they don't have all day for tears. Nemu, the petite maid at Light's side, snaps at Gold for being a heartless jerk to their master. The two immediately start bickering, and Light can't tell if they secretly like each other or genuinely want to murder one another. Gold mutters that being too polite just looks fake and nobody wants to sleep in an open field tonight. Nemu fires back that she'd happily camp anywhere as long as it's beside Light. That stings Gold's pride. He declares he'd follow his master straight into the underworld if asked. Still, he draws the line at sleeping on grass. Light cuts in, reminding them they have a village to avenge and a world to investigate. In his head, he knows their army could steamroll every kingdom combined, but they need intel first. Rushing blind would be stupid. The destruction here has to be tied to whatever secret the higher-ups are hiding about maestros. Fury leaks out of him in a bloody aura. Gold calmly tells him to reel it in before someone notices. Light nods, slips on a jester-style mask that hides his identity, and quietly swears to his parents he'll make this right. They take to the sky toward the city of dog gas. Halfway there, Nemu accidentally blurts Light. Gold hisses that the boss is dark on the surface, dummy. Light decides raising his adventurer rank as dark is the fastest way to dig up guild secrets. Both servants agree, and soon the walled city comes into view. To avoid attention, they land outside and walk the rest like normal travelers. On the road they stumble across bandits shaking down a merchant and his kid.
The moment the bandits spot Gold's gleaming armor, they start yelling challenges. Nemu groans that Gold's shiny but just caused trouble again. Gold just laughs, flicks his wrist, and the bandits are trussed up like sausages before they can blink. The grateful merchant insists they ride the rest of the way in his wagon as thanks. Inside the carriage, the merchant's son gushes over how cool Gold and Nemu are. Nemu smugly says their master is way cooler. The merchant, curious, asks if they're a veteran party here for the famous Dog's Dungeon. Light admits they're not even registered yet. Shocked, the merchant gives them the quick rundown. Doggas sits on the southern border of the Dwarven Kingdom, right next to the Human Kingdom East and the Elven Kingdom South. All three have bad blood, but the dungeon's insane loot keeps adventurers pouring in from everywhere. They reach the city gates. The merchant, Colonel, introduces himself and offers free rooms at his inn anytime. Light's group heads straight for the Adventurers Guild. Inside, the place is packed, but the second they step in, conversations die and people edge away. Light feels the familiar sting of humans being treated like dirt here too, but he marches to the counter anyway. The receptionist slaps an F-rank tag on him without blinking. Nemo explodes, demanding an S rank for her master right now. The poor receptionist explains that literally everyone starts at the bottom. Light quickly accepts the rank before Nemu starts a riot. Registration done, Nemu sniffles that she embarrassed her master in public. Gold gleefully rubs salt in the wound until Light tells him to knock it off. They head to Colonel's Inn. Light rents the entire top floor for absolute privacy, no staff allowed, and shoves a fat sack of gold at Colonel. Colonel tries to refuse payment from his saviors, but Light insists, so the deal is struck. Once alone in the top suite, Light layers a dozen isolation spells so not even sound can escape. He finally relaxes in a chair. Nemu nervously asks if it's really safe for him to wander the surface himself. She thinks he should stay safe in the Abyss Fortress and let the servants handle everything topside. Light's eyes flash with rage. He asks if she's seriously trying to stop him from taking personal revenge. Nemo realizes she just stepped on a landmine, drops to her knees, and begs forgiveness. Light's glare is ice. Gold breaks the tension with a loud, charming laugh that snaps Light out of it. He kneels and comforts the trembling maid. Still ashamed, Nemo insists on renewing her loyalty oath right then and there. She throws herself at his feet and starts kissing them. Light, cheeks burning, just lets her finish the over-the-top ritual. Gold smirks and wonders out loud if Nemo was secretly enjoying the taste test. Mood officially ruined. Next morning they head to the Dog's Dungeon. Light's weird mask draws stares, but there's already a long line. Gold notes almost no elves are waiting. Light explains the Elven Kingdom is technically at war with the dwarves over dungeon rights, so tensions are sky-high. Nemo squeals that Master is so smart, then presses her whole chest against his back to guard his rear. Light sighs and asks if that's really necessary. Three hooded adventurers suddenly cut straight to the front. Light sizes them up, two small fry, one big bad in the middle. A couple of other parties grumble but stay quiet. Light steps forward politely and asks them to please go to the back of the line. The tall elf leader whips around, but still up, and snarls, "Do you have any idea who you're talking to, human?" Light shrugs. Nope. Kinda hard to tell when your face is under a hood. He also points out that if the elf's someone important, he shouldn't be pulling shady stunts that'd tarnish his family's rep. Standing by their boss, Gold and Nemo tell the adventurer to step aside. But the elf sneers that they're nothing but bugs before he can draw his massive sword. His sidekick halts him, warning not to stir up trouble. When the hooded elf finally backs off and slinks away, the other adventurers thank Light's crew for chasing him out. The group ahead of Light apologizes for not speaking up, but Light brushes it off, saying he just cleared the hassle for the whole line. They relax a bit at his reassurance before one of them blurts out, asking if Gold's armor is really solid gold. The group's head hushes his loose-lipped buddy, but the damage is done as Nemo chimes in that it's not actual gold since the metal's too flimsy for tough gear. Gold just likes the flashy hue. Then the young guy asks Light if it's their first crack at the dungeon, and he admits it is. The kid's not shocked, noting everyone else hauls tons of camping gear for the deep dives. Spotting Light's group looking light on supplies, he pegged them as rookies right away.
When it's Light's turn, the kids wave goodbye and plunge inside. While Light's team figures they should pull some basics from their magic storage bag later to dodge questions. Before long, it's their shot and they stride into the enormous dungeon. Nemu gawks at its sheer scale, pondering how these places vary so wildly despite the core idea. Light mentions they gotta hit the dungeon's heart to crack its mysteries. But even Ellie, the brainiac researcher, can't hack it. Gold jokes there's zero chance with Nemu dragging them down. So Light fires back that he's just as worthless for the job. As they push farther in, the mana thickens and the dim, icy jail zone morphs into a lush, buzzing ecosystem teeming with critters. Gold digs the weird fauna, while Nemu spots no one's lurking nearby. To kick off scouting, Light slings quick camouflage and boost spells over the group. Boosted up, they zip through the thick woods. Meanwhile, down below, the cocky elf from earlier squares off against a swarm of burly orcs closing in. Fuming over the embarrassment from Light's bunch, the elf, named Kaido, tears through the brutes one after another. He bellows that he rates better than this, he's the youngest white knight in the elven realm and heir to a mythic legend. His attendant, Yannick, reins him in from the useless frenzy, stressing their mark is the third level, not the entry one. But Kaido swings his blade at his own valet, insisting he can't shake off that earlier slight. Kaido gripes the only thing holding back his glory is his level stuck at 1500. Yet Yannick counters that he's already blown past the standard ceiling for elves. He won't buy it, ranting that a prodigy heir like him ought to have endless upside. Watching his charge stew in fury, Yannick feigns deep pity, claiming he got booted from his homeland too for tinkering with ways to shatter those barriers. As Kaido demands he crank his levels now, Yannick flashes a sly, eerie smile and agrees. Kaido spins away, plotting to ditch the scheming dark elf once he's milked him for power. Meanwhile, Light's squad wraps up shredding a troll pack on the third tier. They yank the magic stones from the corpses as proof of hitting that depth before looping back. Spotting her boss smeared from the scrap, Nemu offers to wipe him down. Once they soar to the first level, Light suggests ditching flight since Gold's gleaming plate draws eyes. But they catch the novice crew from before tangling with goblins. Gold observes they're plenty capable for such puny foes, but Light clocks a stealthy threat they overlooked. As the young squad pivots, they see Light skewering a bush viper under his rod. He warns them to watch their step since the snake's venom could have frozen one solid, easy pickings for bigger beasts. Relieved by Light's save, the kids thank him, but he tenses up spotting fresh danger. From afar, a gang of vicious bush wolves bursts from the trees, freaking out the novices. As panic sets in, Light calms them that the wolves aren't gunning for trouble. Right before their eyes, the pack just skirts past in bolts. Stunned, the kids finally get it, the true menace, as Light said, wasn't the wolves, but a four-sided mantis behemoth. Stunned, the novices puzzle over how a mantis like that could show up when its kind died out over a decade back. As the kids gear up to bolt from the beast, Light inquires if he can bag it solo. Nemu points out the mantis hits level 500, and the kids urge his crew to scram, figuring its way out of their league. Moments later, the mantis lunges at them and Gold steps up front to parry its lunge. After trading hits with the mantis, Gold clocks that it's no pushover. Then Light fires off a fire arrow incantation at it, but the critter bounces the shot off its armored flank. From the sidelines, the novice leader prods his caster, Mia, to pitch in, but she zones out gawking at Light for slinging a spell sans chant. He snaps her back to reality, telling her to lend a hand instead, but Gold eases their worries, saying he'll handle it. Bracing for the scrap, he advises the kids to watch close as he blends offense and guard to drop the mantis. As if catching Gold's drift, the mantis swings at him anew to kick things off. Gold shrugs off its chop with his buckler, cracking its blade on the backlash, capitalizing on its daze. He surges in and hacks away one of the mantis's limbs. Next, Light figures it's showtime for him, and he looses a volley of fire arrows streaking at the mantis. As it bats at the barrage, the shafts arc and dodge its guard, stabbing into the monster's rear. Mia stares slack-jawed as Light wrangles over 30 homing missiles, bunching them to shred the mantis. Overmatched, the creature flees to shield itself. But Light halts the pitiful insect with a blaze wall, so it vaults over the blaze to take wing. At last, Nemu vaults after the mantis, soaring even higher with ease. Gripping her knives, she carves it to bits in one pass, busting it into shards. While Nemu preens over her feet, Gold ribs her for playing like a child. As she flares up, he jabs that she just mulched all the valuable monster bits. The truth hits her like a truck, sparking a freakout while the kids gape, baffled how Light squad down such a savage fiend so casually. After Nemu begs Light's pardon for her screw-up, the kids comb the Mantis's wreckage and snag a flawless monster core. Gold hails their fortune, relieves Nemu's wild hack didn't trash the gem. Eyeing the nucleus, Light reckons it'll do as evidence for the guild to bump their status. Meanwhile, the kids quiz Light if they're a ranked outfit chasing promotion. But Light admits they're straight-up F ranks, plunging the whole crew into a full-blown meltdown. Then Mia whips up a massive water orb with her craft to rinse Light's team. Gold boasts his polished plate gleams brighter than ever. So, as Light dips in to scrub his grimy mitts, he invites the rest of the kids to join. Thankful for their handy perk. The kids downplay it since he flat-out rescued them. Then they float, letting Light crash with them overnight as dusk falls. Light hates imposing on the youngsters, but their head spills that his sis Mia is dying to pick his brain on those wild spell tricks. Spotting her keen stare, Light caves and tags along, settling by their fire for supper. Light shares with Mia that his folks were wizard prodigies, adding she's got serious chops too. She beams, insisting her skills pale next to silent casting. Her bro questions if no-chant magic's truly that hot, so she dives into a rant on the 3 magic tiers. She breaks down that battle spells like fire arrows target singles, while field moves like firewalls handle mobs. She drops that there are grand-scale spells with worldwide punch. But mega spells pack disaster-level force. So, it demands a squad of elite casters droning together to pull one off. She notes breeds like dragon youths, elves, and demons sling spells easy thanks to innate gifts. Humans draw the short straw. That's why she pegs Light as a global phenom for no-chant work as a plain human. Gold tips his head, impressed by her smarts, while Light chuckles off the hype awkwardly. At length, once Mia chills, her bro notes that whatever his juice, Light strikes him as a decent guy. To buck up his sis, he says she'll nail it once she lands in the Duchy's Magic Academy. While Mia flushes, Light perks up at the Duchy as the alliance forged by all 9 races. Gold figures Mia's got real talent to snag a slot at the planet's top spell school. Her bro clarifies though she earned entry, she couldn't attend since their parents footing the bill perished in a plague. Leaving the pair to scrape by, they roped in Gimra and Wordy for an adventuring gig to scrape coin. Still, he stays optimistic that with steady hauls, he'll ship Mia off to Duchess Academy to chase her goals. Feeling like dead weight, Mia urges her crew to slack off instead of fixating on her. Seeing the siblings look out for each other tugs at Light, recalling his own kid sis. He rallies the kids to push on since he bets their skills will land them huge. Light hypes Mia's gifts too, but she brushes it off as him being sweet. Yet he insists he's dead serious, and his vote perks her up a touch. Shortly, the crew chief probes Light on why he turned adventurer, and Light launches into his family's grim tale. Nemu fills them in that the Blaze claiming Lights can scarred him bad, so they're tagging along for his care. Gold adds he and Nemu owe Light's family a debt, hence the payback ride. As Light's sad saga wraps, the gang's upbeat vibe fizzles. To pivot, Gimra blurts if Nemu and Gold are hitched. Nemu shoots it down flat, claiming she'd never dig a show-off like Gold. Gold concurs, saying he can't stand her pint-sized sass and frame. Sensing an opening, Gimra pops the question to Nemu, but she declares her heart's lights. Gold piles on that it'd be history's dumbest move if she sullied their boss, and they snipe clear through the wee hours. Elsewhere, Kaido lops a beast and Yannick claps. But Kaido snaps at him, griping his mythic blade Grandius is built for felling legends, not bush trimming. To soothe him, the Shadow Elf cues that he needs beast bits for his cap-busting probe. Samples squared away, Yannick muses it's prime time to harvest from the human stock next. Weeks on, Light swings back to the guild laden with dungeon swag. The desk clerk gushes over the rare haul, and Nemu insists her boss merits an S+ badge for the haul. Light tunes out his hyped aid and asks the clerk to tally the payout. So she brews them tea while they wait. Back from the hall, Light's aides note the guild's total flippin' vibe. Strolling the streets, folks murmur about them, wise to their Mantis takedown. As Light savors the buzz he's sparked, a knot of dungeon delvers near the entrance hails if he's with the Black Miley. The tag baffles Light, so the Delvers spill it's the locals' moniker for his outfit.
Nemu darts ahead, suspecting shady angles.
But the Delvers ease her mind, swearing they're harmless and introducing themselves as Suvalin and Gilbert.
Suvalin presses Light on how he plunged so far into the dungeon and took down that Mantis.
Gilbert, though, scoffs that the tale's probably bogus. This fires up Nemu, who jams her knife at his neck and demands if he's branding her boss a fibber. To defuse her, Suvalin clarifies they're just rooting for them. This baffles Light, so Suvalin spells it out. The human folks are buzzing with optimism after spotting a powerhouse crew from their own kind. As he lays it out, his squad hollers for him to join the queue, so he dips out to line up with them. Close by, the adventurers from other breeds bristle, figuring humans are nuts for clinging to any shred of optimism. As Nemu catches their sour take on them, Gold shrugs that they'll just shut him up with even bigger wins. When Light's crew's slot rolls around, they duck inside the dungeon and he figures they ought to bolt straight for the 5th level.
But they glimpse Mia's bunch mid-flight.
So, they swoop low to look in on them.
Thrilled to spot them, Mia's bro shoves her forward, insisting she's got a surprise for Light.
Waffling, she hands him an odd salve, saying she whipped it up for his burn scars.
She reckons it won't erase the marks, but it'll ease the ache. Light mulls it over.
So, Mia assumes he doesn't dig her present. Yet, he takes it with a grin and opts to pay it back. Light pulls a card from his gacha, which morphs into a stunning bangle. He holds it out to her, but she balks at grabbing it. With a nudge, she slips the bracelet on her wrist, delighted by its sparkle, vowing she'll cherish his token always. Mia beams her thanks at Light before his team peels off. That evening, Nemu quizzes Light if it was smart handing an SSR tier wish bracelet to Mia. Gold fills her in that the wish bracelet grants a deep enough desire if the wearer craves it bad. He figures Light nailed it by squaring things with the kid, and Nemu gets that not every gift boils down to its worth in gold. Once Light's squad hits the frosty 5th level, they see it's pretty empty. Gold calls the Hush a prime spot to stay under the radar, but Nemu jabs that his flashy gold plating's doing zip to help. Wheeling about, Light cues them they gotta bag some yetis. After setting them loose on the hunt, he zaps back to base. The minute he lands, his devoted quartet of maids swarms him in the palace. May steers Light to tea and probes how his jaunt's shaping up. He says it's smooth sailing and hits her with questions on the maid setup for the big showdown. Ellie reports they're nearly wrapped, so Light muses if he even had to swing home. He urges the gals to tap whatever supplies they crave and keep grinding.
But Mizuna bugs him on what her prime gig oughta be.
Figuring she's too dim for a tricky scheme, Light tells her to simply watch the palace till her cue.
Eager to pitch in, Mizuna nags Ellie to wrap her work fast since she can't budge till then.
With the groundwork locked in, Light nurses his brew, itching to wipe out Sasha. Meanwhile, Suvalin's crew holes up on the dungeon's 3rd level come nightfall. Suvalin pulls Gilbert on his read of the buzz around Light.
Gilbert insists there's zero shot he's that stacked. But Suvalin counters they've got Mia vouching for it. So maybe Light's some reborn legend of a hero.
The idea of a human champ storming back to rally their kind to triumph sparks real fire in both of them.
Then Suvalin slips off to hit the bushes for a leak.
When he loops back, he hollers for Gilbert, but clocks his pal's severed noggin sprawled on the dirt.
He spots Kaido looming there, fuming that Suvalin dawdled so long.
Clocking his buddy bought it without a swing, Suvalin figures he's toast against the beefy elf.
Meanwhile, Kaido grinds Gilbert's skull underfoot, angling to rile Suvalin into a rage.
But Suvalin stays cool and pops a smoke bomb to bolt. While hightailing it, he bets the elf can't track him through the haze for a spell.
Yet Kaido somehow pins him in the fog, soaring on a charm. He swats Suvalin down easy with a hit, leaving the guy floored as Suvalin gapes at the elf drifting via his incant.
Yannick clocks him with his staff.
He rags Kaido for icing all the humans since he craved breathing guinea pigs for his tests.
Kaido shrugs that one's plenty, but Yannick gripes he needs extras cause his trials bomb out half the time. The shady dark elf leers like a fiend, figuring humans or trash bugs fit only as guinea pigs for his sicko schemes. Meanwhile, Nemu argues with the Adventurers Guild receptionist to raise Light's rank. The receptionist tells her that they just raised his rank straight to D from F, so she can't make any more exceptions. However, Nemo still thinks her master deserves this rank, while Gold tells her she's ruining his image with her bratty attitude. To calm Nemo down, the receptionist tells her she can raise Light's rank even further if he performs a huge feat, which gives him an idea. Later that night, Light shows his servants a wanted poster of an unknown adventurer killer who has been terrorizing humans.
Gold thinks that such a high-value criminal could easily get them the promotion. But Light wonders how to search for this mysterious person. Gold suggests pulling his gacha for a tracker card. So, Light reminds him that the chances of pulling a good tracker in a short time are too low. While they discuss their plans, suddenly a portal opens up in their room. Light watches in shock as an unconscious Mia drops out of the portal and the bracelet on her hand breaks apart. He quickly puts the girl in a bed to rest and uses a healing spell to restore her health. After healing Mia, Light decides to check her memories since she's too exhausted to speak. From her memories, he learns that Mia's party met a group of adventurers who warned them about the adventurer killer. The kids wondered if the humans were just targeted by a monster, but the party told them that the killer used multiple magic spells, so they were clearly an intelligent person. After telling the kids to spread the word to other humans, the party left the dungeon to avoid being targeted. Mia's party also started hiking out of the dungeon. At night, Mia's brother noticed that everyone was tired after fighting all day. Left with no other choice, he allowed them to camp out in the middle of the dangerous dungeon. Suddenly, a group of mysterious figures showed up, and among them, Yannick asked the kids why they were out so late. The kids recognized Yannick's group, so they didn't think they posed any danger. Feeling concerned for their safety, they decided to warn them about the mysterious adventurer killer. As Mia's brother informed them about the killer, they thanked him for his kinder warning. Seeing their friendly reaction, the kids felt safe around the elves. However, Kaido suddenly said he should have covered up his actions, shocking the kids as the two elves complained about their information spreading to the outside world. The kids wondered what was going on. Suddenly, Yannick's voice turned cold, and Kaido pulled out his sword, exposing himself as the adventure killer. The kids felt their blood run cold, and the boys told Mia to run while they held off the elves. Seeing his bravery, Kaido felt enraged as Mia's brother charged at him. He mercilessly slashed the young boy's stomach, and Mia screamed in grief at her brother's death. Then, the other two boys tried to hold off Kaido, but he slashed them down as well. Watching them heavily injured, Mia felt frozen to the spot. However, the injured boys got back up and tried to fight to protect Mia. Seeing her remaining friends rush toward their deaths, Mia screamed for them to stop. Ignoring her cries, they kept going, but Kaido ruthlessly cut them down despite Yannick's warning. When the two fell dead, Yannick scolded Kaido for killing his test subjects. Kaido scoffed, saying that he never planned to spare anyone who dared to fight for their life. Yannick still felt upset by his reckless actions, so Kaido reminded him that he had left Mia alive. So he turns to the girl and tells Yannick that he could have some fun with her. However, Yannick felt disgusted by his behavior and left him alone to enjoy his twisted fantasies. When Kaido prepares to violate the poor girl, Mia tells Kaido to back away from her. But the narcissistic elf thought he was doing her a favor, thinking that an inferior human like her didn't deserve his favor. He starts mocking Mia and tells her to thank him. The terrified girl resigned herself to her fate. But suddenly, her brother's weak voice rang out. Surprised, Kaido looks back and sees that Mia's brother somehow survived the deadly slash. His ability to survive so long caught Yannick's interest. So, he tells Kaido he wants the boy for his research. Although Kaido felt annoyed, he agreed to let the boy live. Meanwhile, Mia's brother tries to convince her to escape one last time, and she sheds tears watching him sacrifice himself. Finally, she gets up to run and Yannick tells Kaido to capture his target, grumbling that he didn't like his orders. Kaido prepares to catch her, but Mia's brother tries to attack him. As Kaido shrugged off his weak attack, Yannick reminded him that he needed both siblings alive. Kaido nodded, thinking it was too difficult to capture moving targets. However, Mia's brother started mumbling about battle strategies, which left the elf confused as he recalled Gold's advice to use a shield and sword together. Mia's brother decided to combine both his offense and defense. The strategy gives him a burst of confidence, and he charges at Kaido. The shocked elf barely avoids the young boy's surprising speed.
But suddenly, he brought his shield out of nowhere and knocked him to the ground as the proud elf landed on his butt. He stared at Mia's brother, who laughed in triumph, enraged by the blow to his pride.
Kaido took out his anger by piercing the little boy with a full power strike.
As the poor boy gasped from the unimaginable pain, Kaido marched to finish him off, but Yannick stopped him. He reminded the enraged narcissist to catch Mia before she could spread the news outside the dungeon.
As Mia blindly rushed to the dungeon's exit, Kaido's sword suddenly blocked her way.
As he hovers behind her, he declares that he'd punish her for trying to escape. Kaido proudly revealed that he could corner her because of the Elven Kingdom's greatest treasure, Grandius, while Mia looked on in horror. As he approached her, Mia decided to do everything she could to escape for the sake of her friends. After focusing intensely, she summoned an icicle spell to attack Kaido, but he easily shattered it.
Using the moment of distraction, Mia tried to run again, but Kaido knocked her down. He proudly told the girl she should accept her fate as a legendary hero servant.
However, she firmly told him that he's a loser who could only bully the weak. Hearing her words, Kaido got stunned and recalled all the times his fellow elves mocked him. Since Kaido acted like a prick around them, they all hated him and called him a bully who rose to the top using his status. While he recalled the hurtful memories, Mia kept calling him a spineless piece of trash, which enraged him even more. Unable to bear his hurt ego, he unleashed a powerful attack to finish her off. At that moment, Mia desperately wished Light was there. Just then, her bracelet activated and teleported her outside the dungeon.
As the memory finally ends, Light clutches Mia's bracelet in his hand. Gold and Nemo ask him what to do next, and he quietly tells them to move out. Back in the dungeon, Yannick finishes healing Mia's brother.
When Kaido returns, Yannick asks him if he captured Mia, but Kaido has no idea where she went. Yannick is shocked that an elite elf soldier could lose track of a child. So Kaido tells him she randomly teleported into thin air. Shocked, Yannick refuses to believe him since he thinks a human couldn't possibly own a precious teleportation item. Yannick realizes they're in deep trouble. He tells Kaido that if the human guild spreads this news, the elves might hear about him. Kaido also gets terrified thinking about it since he actually stole Grandas away from the Elven Kingdom. He thinks about the terrifying elf White Knight army whose leader is at level 3000 with a weapon surpassing his own. Feeling like he's doomed, Kaido starts stomping the ground. Yannick tries to calm him down, saying that they can fight back against the Elven army if he succeeds in his level limit-breaking research. This gives Kaido some hope and Yannick tells him to quickly hide so he can complete his research. Suddenly, Light appears in front of them, saying their time is up. Kaido recalls Light from the time he was humbled by him outside the dungeon, so he feels wary of him. However, Light ignores them and gently closes Gimra Anward's eyes, feeling sad for the bright young lives that were lost. Behind him, Gold informs him that Mia's brother Elio is still alive. Watching the boy in Gold's arms, Yannick gets shocked since he was just treating him on the ground. Light heals the young boy and asks the elves why they inflicted so much suffering on the innocent children. As he recalls the young boys trying their best to earn money and support Mia's education, Light feels angered that it is all gone. Thinking that he could have been friends with the boys in a different world. He turns around to make the elves pay for their crimes. Seeing his anger, Kaido tells him they're innocent. However, Light tells them that he saw Mia's memories, so he knows they're the culprits. This leaves themselves stunned, so Light reassures them that he hasn't reported anything to the Adventurers Guild. At this news, Kaido starts laughing, thinking he's got a lucky break. Thinking he can easily kill Light to silence him, Kaido says that fate has protected him from misfortune because he's a hero. Light laughs, saying that the reason he didn't tell the guild is that he wants Kaido for himself. He tells the royal scumbag that he'll make him suffer pain worse than death for hurting his friends. Finally, Light firmly declares that he'll end Kaido's life with his own hands after punishing him and tells Gold and Nemu to stay out of his fight. As they back off, Light starts walking towards Kaido, enraged that a human cursed him out. Kaido tries to attack Light with his sword. However, he easily stops his attack in its tracks with just his staff. As Yannick stares in shock, Light taunts Kaido, asking if that's all he's got. Angered, he keeps blindly slashing at Light, who effortlessly blocks every single strike. Watching the battle, Yannick thinks there's no way that a human child can defend against an elf soldier's attacks so easily.
Meanwhile, Kaido keeps swinging his sword, desperately hoping to hit Light with a lucky strike.
Light sighs before parrying his sword away. Then, he punches Kaido straight in the gut, knocking the wind out of his lungs. Light taunts him, saying that he should try not to die from his practice punches.
Despite getting thrashed like a kid, Kaido still thinks he's superior to humans.
He gets back up and summons his Grandas, which creates several magic swords in the sky with a magic weapons power. Kaido thinks he's invincible against Light and launches the swords towards him. The attack's power surprises Light, so he starts dodging them.
As each sword strike lands on the ground, it creates a different elemental effect.
However, Nemu still thinks that Light can handle it with ease. In the air, Light praises the sword's power, but he thinks it's not powerful enough to threaten him.
Suddenly, Kaido appears behind him, so he quickly blocks his attack.
Watching Light block it, Yannick feels disbelief that he defended an all-out strike from Kaido's magic sword. Finally, Kaido accuses Light of cheating, saying that he fights like a warrior, even though he's dressed up as a mage. He starts stomping his foot in anger, thinking that humans are a bunch of scumbags who cheat their way to victory. Confused, Light tells him that he is indeed a mage, but Kaido refuses to believe him. Watching the elf so frustrated, Gold feels pity for Kaido since Light's unlimited cards allow him to fight in any situation. Suddenly, Light creates multiple ice swords to attack Kaido, who tries to block it with his Grandas. Fry spikes rush forth, easily destroying each of Grandius's clones in front of the shocked elves. Refusing to give up, Kaido unleashes one final strike at Light, but Light destroys it along with the rest of his hopes and dreams. Seeing Light manipulate his ice swords as a barrier against Kaido's attack, Yannick felt numb from witnessing such overwhelming power.
Finally, Light asks Kaido if he's done throwing his tantrum, and Kaido goes insane with rage.
The arrogant elf thinks there's no way a human can defeat him, wondering how the Grandius can lose despite being a weapon used by a former maestro. Hearing the name of a maestro, Light gets surprised and asks Kaido what he knows about them. Kaido laughs and reveals that he was born with the blood of maestro, which makes him a submore himself. Hearing that Kaido's frame harbors some intriguing mysteries, Light resolves to snag him and Yannick for some tests as he aims to drain every secret from their heads. Gold and Nemu box in Yannick. Yet, the researcher doesn't flinch a bit and instead calls forth two ghastly blood beasts. As the creatures form up, he boasts smugly about merging a bunch of humans and monsters to forge the savage horrors. For the first one, Yannick blended a stone lizard from the elven territories, while he built the second from a dungeon troll. When Light eyes the troll beast, he spots that one of its mugs is the optimistic adventurer Gilbert's. Both Gold and Nemu get grossed out by Yannick's awful tests. While he claims that blending diverse critters is the top method to bust past their level caps. Still, Yannick insists he requires loads of humans to steady an experimental beast. So, he needs thousands extra to craft his ultimate Frankenstein. Seeing him cockily spout off about his wrongs, Light grips his rod in fury as Yannick begins ranting that he's the savior set to usher the races into a fresh age.
Light snaps at him to clam up. This yanks him from his fit. While Light cues Gold and Nemu to end the human beast's suffering, he directs them to nab Yannick breathing since he deserves payback for his sins. As the pair braces for the clash, Yannick boldly summons his beasts to tangle with them. But they carve through both beasts in a lone swipe, at last freeing the tormented folks locked inside them. As the beasts drop, the duo gears to grab Yannick, but he stays chill. Somehow, the warped beasts rise again and swiftly mend their deadly gashes. While Yannick keeps crowing, his beasts press the assault on the duo. Meanwhile, Kaido lunges at Light to block him from aiding them. So, Gold and Nemu handle the scrap solo, tackling the beast's full might. Gold jabs at Nemu for dropping her nerve, but she counters that he's turned grave too. As the things keep shoving them backward, Yannick urges them to give in and allow him to tinker on their forms in peace. Brushing off the loony elf, both opt to charge straight and release the captive souls. After channeling their peak strength, Nemu and Gold fire off their top moves, which engulf the beasts in their dazzling blazes, betting his creations will just brush it aside. Yannick keeps chuckling. This round, his beasts don't heal, so he at last gets puzzled. Before long, the dazzling blazes liquefy his mongrel beasts into a slimy mess, and Yannick begins flipping out. Abruptly, Nemu boots him in his warped jewels, dropping him to his knees, eyeing the wretched researcher foaming on the floor. Gold pities him a tad while Nemu figures she ought to flame her boot to scrub it. On the flip side, as Light drives Kaido rearward, the elf gawks at him with scared peepers. Light mocks him, jogging his memory of his haughty chatter. Catching his jab, Kaido flashes back to Light's cocky grin when he struck back at him. Riled to the hilt, Kaido hauls himself up to brawl. He hoists his blade skyward and unleashes its peak force, which spawns a furious energy ray, disclosing that this is Grandious's ultimate might. He smugly orders Light to kneel to him. Light gets wowed by Kaido's juice as Kaido hurls a crushing chop at him. Though Light evades the strike, the blade carves a massive gash in the dirt. Kaido keeps hacking at him, wildly wishing to score with a single hit. As the blade keeps whipping near him, Light clocks that the weapon has morphed into a bendy lash via its sorcery. Eyeing the showdown from afar, Nemu reckons that while the move's slick for Kaido's tear, it can't nick Light's hide. While still sidestepping the strikes, Light tells Kaido it's merely a showy act. Infuriated, Kaido dares him to tank the hits instead of ducking them. And thus, Light halts dead and dares Kaido to nick his frame with his fiercest strike. Rather than sniffing the setup, Kaido leaps high and slams the blade down on Light. Betting he's potent enough to smash him when the huge blade smacks Light, Kaido instantly sheds all bravado after witnessing the outcome. Grasping Light stands totally unscathed, he flips out and hammers him repeatedly. Kaido's puny brain can't wrap that a human would shrug off his top strike. So, Light simply smashes his enchanted edge with a single smack. Then, he slugs Kaido in the belly and launches him soaring with a follow-up blow. As the elf wrestles with his gory mug, Light informs him he's set to grill him. He coolly shares with Kaido that he'll only off him once he's endured plenty for his wrongs. Taking that in, the beaten elf at last crumples to his knees. He pleads with Light to let him live in trade for all his intel and the grandest loot. Still, Light ridicules him, noting that genuine heroes battle to the bitter end. Instead of groveling for their skins like gutless wimps, he cues Kaido that true heroes mirror the young kids he ruthlessly offed, who gave it all just for a shot to rescue their pal. Denying him escape, Light states he'll let him walk if he scraps him again and scars even a lone inch of his flesh. Despite his pitch, Kaido stays spooked and bolts. Eyeing him flee, Light blasts a ray strike that bores through his limb and cripples him. As he grapples with the injury, Kaido keeps sniveling and bawling like a total wuss. At last, Light strolls up to him and lays out the plain truth that Kaido's a gutless hunk of trash. After snaring the useless elf, Light opts to inter the slain adventurers in his own abyss. While Light mourns the youngsters, the elves brazenly quiz him on their dooms. Nemu clamps them shut and Light says he's got queries for them. While Yannick senses he's toast, Kaido keeps begging him for pity, spotting him brazenly plead for his useless existence after slaughtering so many blameless folks. Light seethes inside. Before long, he casts a relocation charm that zaps everyone right to the audience chamber in his fortress. After blinking open, they quiz where they've landed. Light clues them they're in the abyss, which floors them utterly. Yannick puzzles why they've hauled them to the deadliest lair. So, Nemu breaks it down that they call it home. Floored, Kaido insists no one's building a pad in the abyss. So, Nemu begins pounding the elves for jabbering non-stop. Shortly, Light's quartet of lead maids file into the audience chamber. Thrilled to spot their lord. As they stroll in, they probe Light on the elves' deal, so he spills that they're vile offenders. Once the maids catch wind of the elves' awful wrongs, they all shoot death stares at them. Each maid volunteers to rip open the elves' guts and yank their secrets by brute force, but Light warns them to keep paws off till he wraps his grilling. With Light's heads up, they all settle. So, he pivots to Gold and directs him to patch Kaido while he preps to lay Wordy and Gimra to rest with Nemu. Meanwhile, Yannick abruptly shrieks and starts pretending like Kaido coerced him into his tests. Stunned, Kaido spills too that Yannick's the culprit who pushed him to snag all those folks as guinea pigs. As the pair begins squabbling to boost their own cred, Light cuts in. He jogs both smug elves' memories of their prior deeds when they rampaged slaying whoever they fancied. Light quizzes them if their powerless prey begged for mercy too, which renders them mute, realizing they've dug their own graves. The elves clam up, not a peep from either. So Light just shrugs and heads out,
tossing over his shoulder that he'll dish back exactly what they served up to their victims. Later, he checks in on Mia, who's finally stirring from her deep sleep. She blinks around, puzzled about her surroundings, and he gently explains they're in his quarters. She's caught off guard, so Light fills her in that he's fresh back from nabbing the adventurer slayer. When she presses about her buddies, Light nods to her brother snoozing safely close by. But then he breaks the bad news that Wordy and Gimra didn't pull through, which hits her hard and brings on the waterworks. Light passes her the somber bundles of their remains. She breaks down sobbing as he slips out quietly to give her space. Pacing the inn's corridor, Light beats himself up, figuring it's on him for being so laser-focused on payback. If he'd spared a thought for the folks around him, maybe he could have spared himself that gut-wrenching sound of grief. Come morning, Light lays it all out for the guild. The killer's a duo of elves. Armed with his scoop, the receptionist figures he's earned a jump straight to S rank. He's thrown since he couldn't haul in hard evidence of the bust, but she counters that his tip-off plus rescuing the 2 survivors seals the deal. That evening at the inn, Light chats with Mia and AO. They share their bouncing and offer heartfelt thanks for everything. He wonders about their next move, so they spill they're heading home. Taken aback, Light notes they could snag a new crew no problem, but Mia admits the dungeon traumas got her shook, plus Gimra and Wordy were her adventure spark. She can't hack it solo. AO chimes in that he's out too without his pals, set on bringing their remains back for a proper send-off. Light probes if Mia's ditching magic school dreams, and she says she'll grind it out self-taught. Vowing she'll be way tougher next meetup, Mia softly asks if he'll really swing by again. Light grins and promises they will, drawing a smile from her. Dawn breaks as Mia and AO head out, with Gold reassuring Light they'll manage. Nemu agrees, betting the reunion'll be sweeter. Light nods, musing he'll show the siblings the real graves in the abyss once he can drop his mask. Then he pivots and tells Gold and Nemu he's palace-bound. Back home, he links up with Ellie and May, quizzing what they squeezed from the elves. May slides him a stack of notes with the full rundown, and Ellie details using taboo spells to yank intel straight from their noggins. May adds she grilled them hard to cross-check every bit. As Light scans the docs, Ellie breaks down that sub-maestros are just kin to a full maestro. She raps that this blood tie lets sub-maestros level faster than the pack. May drops the bomb that an unchecked maestro could nuke the whole planet. Light's baffled, doubting one guy's got that kind of juice. Pondering if multiple maestros are out there, the gals note it's from a hazy recall. Kaido overheard it from the elven White Knight captain. So Light pegs that as their next target. He asks after Kaido and Yannick's status, and Ellie unveils their battered, broken states. Eyeing the wrecks, Light decides it's trash day. He flips a special card dubbed Dead Man's Banquet, unleashing a nightmare swarm of maws on the elves. As the jaws shred and devour their forms, they howl in agony beyond words before vanishing for good. With the scum erased, Light hits Ellie on the core scheme. She reports setups locked in. They can kick off Sasha payback anytime. Ellie spills Sasha's hitch to the elven White Knight's vice-captain, so snagging him hands easy blackmail. Pleased with the setup, Light green-lights it on the spot. Meanwhile, Sasha lounges with her betrothed, Michael, reminiscing how she crushed Light's spirit. Michael chuckles it must have been a blast, flashing back to his own human village wipes. He mocks how humans pull pitiful pleas for mercy, and she concurs they're the foulest pests around. Michael figures he's struck gold with a gal matching his vile bigotry. On the flip, Light buzzes with anticipation for Sasha's downfall, craving that desperate, begging mug as she grovels for scraps. That wraps episode 7. Hit subscribe to catch the next drop and queue up the follow-up vid.